Hi, my name is Gift, but you can also call me Giftee Love. Welcome to a video that I've been looking so forward to making for a really long time. It's like basically as soon as I had the idea, I was like, I can't wait to film this because I have so much to say. So if you know anything about me, you know that I am a big Pretty Little Liars fan. I love PLL, I'm part of the fandom, and it's weird because like when I was watching it, and even like after that, like I was watching it and like I was like, oh, this is my favourite TV show, and there's other people that like it, but like I didn't realise it was a fandom until like, the last couple of years, especially being on TikTok. And like I remember when I came across my first like fan edit of like Pretty Little Liar like characters, and I was like, what is this? This is great. And so I'm really excited that, because I think growing up, well, not growing up, but now I feel like everyone is very proud of like who they stand and who like what fandom they're part of. And I didn't think I was part of one, but apparently I've been part of quite a big one for a couple of years now, which is the PL fandom. So I'm gonna start this video by saying that several things, not disclaimers, just things to notify. I dedicated 7 years, as many people did, 7 years of my life to Pretty Little Liars, and so for that it will always be like a nostalgic drug that I'm committed to forever, and I love it. Not that I love the drug, but I dedicated 7 years of my life to it, and I just love Pretty Little Liars. I love the girly friendship. I love the jokes. The jokes in it are so stupid and cheesy. It's a time capsule for the 2010s. It's just there's the formula and the timing of everything in Pretty Little Lies in terms of like when it was happening, what they were doing, and like what was going on in my life and everything like that was just timed so perfectly for me to just love the show. Now, this doesn't mean that I like just don't care about the problematic things about the show. I mean, I am making a video about paying homage to the black characters, the very few black characters of Pretty Little Lies. So I definitely, you know, it would be weird of me to notice that, but not notice some of the other very, very problematic aspects of PLL. So that's, I'm not like, you know, I'm not saying it's the perfect show, it shouldn't change a thing, it's perfect. I mean, I do say that, but I don't actually mean it. In terms of like, I love the show, but its critique, a lot of its critique is very, very valid. And it's been really fun to watch kind of, I feel like I've seen like an increase in certain video essays. I have been really enjoying watching it again and reviewing it back again, because I think I watch it like, as it's my comfort show, so I watch it at least once a week. And it's been really nice to like rewatch kind of how many years since the end of the show, since 2017 now, watching videos like go through the different elements of the show and the character development and the storyline and where it all went wrong and where it kind of did go right in some way. So that's been really, really nice to see and experience. But yeah, so I'm kind of going on a tangent here. So yeah, basically I understand it's problematic. I still love it and I love the show. Doesn't mean it hasn't done things that are bad. Now, there are very, very few black characters in this show, and this is, you know, representation is something that Pretty Little Lies really struggled with, not just in the aspect of it struggled with representation of different types of people. When it did represent people, it didn't really put them in the best light. It didn't really show them in a three-dimensional way, or even in a way that's like helpful or good representation. It kind of just showed you it. E.g., the first trans character and only trans character in the story being the evil know-it-all plotter for like 6 seasons, as we're meant to believe. Again, with the only blind character, so the only one of like, it seems like, main character, talking person that had affected the liars with disability, which was Jenna, was evil again from the start, not because she's an evil person, but because, you know, of altercation with Addison. It's a bit mad, but yeah, anyway. So representation is not something that Pretty Little Lies does particularly well, but I don't think anyone out there has been like, wow, they really did a good job here. I'm excited to talk about the very few black characters in there, and there's lots of areas that I could do representation homages to in Pretty Little Lies where they had very few, but I want to like give them their kudos. But I've chosen, as a black person, I've chosen to pay homage to black characters because there were few, but they were there. They were there. Also, I have to say, the twists and turns and everything in Pretty Little Lies, I absolutely loved. Like, it's the drama of everything. I think because I grew up watching Nollywood, I think the ridiculous drama and nonsense of it was just so similar in terms of like how gripping I found it, that I think that's why I seem to like it so much, to be fair. For you, that all the Pretty Little Lies fans that are watching, especially the black PLL fans, like comment below, because I don't really know many other black people that love and enjoy Pretty Little Lies or are part of the fandom. So all the black people them that watch and enjoy Pretty Little Lies, please comment below. But if anyone that watches Pretty Little Lies, let me know if you think I missed anyone out in this video. I tried my best not to, because I watch Pretty Little Lies a lot and I feel like this is quite a thorough list. like actually quite a thorough list. But if I missed anything, let me know. I would love to like have a look and be like, oh yeah, this person. And so I have my phone here because I have notes, but I'm going to kind of explain what I've done. So I'm going to talk about the main characters. And when I say main characters, it doesn't mean that they're actually main characters, but these are characters that had speaking roles and they were part of a story in the Pretty Little Liars that actually affected the liars for more than one episode. That's who I consider main characters. So they're speaking and they did things or played a part, and what they did impacted the liars in some way. And there are certain characters where I'm like, they're in the middle of that somehow, but you know, it's, you know, how long is a piece of string, they say. Everyone's going to have their opinions about who's considered a main character, who's considered a blah blah blah. But anyway, I've done it kind of main characters, people that were like kind of in some ways integral to the story, and then I've done people that were like side characters, but you know, they spoke at least once during it. And then there's some honorable mentions for it, you know, and either one-liners or people who were like that the camera focused on them long enough where for me I noticed it and I found it really funny, so I've included those people too. And I've tried to also track down the actors of each person. So if you want to like look into them and their careers like into more depth than I go into, I suppose, then you're happy to do that. I think that is everything. Is there anything else? Okay, and you're like, okay, go on, start talking about the characters. You have to wait, okay? I just want to share some interesting statistics that I did. I got my maths hat on and I looked at some of the statistics when it came to Pretty Little Liars and did some calculations for myself. So I'm going to read them here. There are 15 black character appearances in Pretty Little Liars in total. And that doesn't include maybe any extras that may have been in the background of shots that like the camera wasn't even focused on and that pass us by. I didn't include those people because that would have been, you know, I don't think there was even that many, but that would be long. But there's 15 people that are on this list now that I'm going to talk about. And I kind of did a mortality rate calculation of black characters in the show. So based on my list, the percentage of the very few black characters that are dead out of the 11 people that spoke. So if there's 15 characters, only 11 of them actually had a physical line that, you know, contributed to the scene in any way. 4 of them are dead, which means that 44% of speaking black characters are dead. So if you're a black character on Pretty Little Liars, your survival rate is about 56%, which I find interesting. And if we were really strict and kept it down to main characters had speaking roles, multiple episodes and multiple scenes and stories that affected the liars, like past, you know, them being on the screen, then the survival rate is cut to about 10 to 20% mortality rate, 10 to 20% survival rate. So basically, if you're black and Pretty Little Liars and you have a speaking role and you interact with the liars, the chance you'll survive and come out the other side having interacted with the liars and been part of their lives in some way is about 10 to 20%, which is ridiculous when you actually think about it. And I'm sure there's other fun statistics when it comes to just male characters, female characters that came in at this season, blah blah blah. And I would love, maybe if someone did it all, I would even sit down and do it, even though I hate working with numbers. But I just think, incredible. Wow, Pretty Little Liars, you did that. You gave us representation and then you made sure to them off as soon as you could. So yeah, it's a bit, so giving those statistical numbers, it's not looking great to be a black character on PL. But another statistic, so when it came to the concentration of black people, so how many black people were in Pretty Little Liars at any given point interacting the storyline or whatever, the highest concentration of black characters was season 4. Now, it doesn't mean that there were 4 speaking black characters all at the same time in season 4. It just means that the most black people that were involved in some sort of storyline or on screen to deliver lines and all that stuff, majority of them existed in season 4, and the seasons that had the least amount of black people were seasons 1 and season 7. Now, this could be that none of the main characters were black. We'll come back to that. None of the main characters were black, and so the season 1 was building up the main characters, and they kept the focus of the characters really small, to kind of build up the story and build your relationship with the liars and their backstory. And then season 7 is about closing everything out. And so again, they tried to, it's debatable, but they tried to kind of keep random people to a minimum, or maybe they just were like, in the first 7th season they didn't know any Blackfoot they could get on the screen apart from Maya. People say Maya, and so they were like, yeah, one of them is enough, let's just keep it thingy. And season 4 was out in 2014, and if you look at the drama shows that were out in 2014, a lot of them were like gritty, dark dramas, and I think like the kind of black characters that are in season 4, like Shauna, like Lyndon James, like and a lot of characters that I introduced you in season 4 match that kind of gritty drama, reality, two-sided antagonist, blah blah blah. That was in a lot of drama TV during 2014. So I think the increase of black people, just other random characters that were like, why are you here in season 4, was because of the landscape in which season 4 came out in with Pretty Little Liars, in terms of like, there were forerunners in terms of the type of show that they were making and the audience that they were targeting was like quite unique for the time, but obviously by 2014 it wasn't that unique, and other people were like catching on that fucking hell, people really seem to like this drama mystery shit, and a lot of other shows kind of caught on and were doing that. So yeah, thought that was interesting. Right, on to finally, here are paying homage, me Giftee Love is paying homage to the lovely black characters of Pretty Little Liars. Let's start with the babe, the ultimate, the main black character that we all recognise, well I personally, Maya Saint-Germain. Our woman-loving woman, bad bitch. She was in season 1 and 2, and she was played by the ageless vampire queen, Bianca Lawson, who I found out through the research is stepsisters with Beyonce and Solange's family, has Native American, Portuguese and Creole ancestry. I mean, she oozes charm, elegance and style. She's a great actress. She has, I feel like she's just really charming. I feel like if I met her, she'd be really charming. I think I saw one like interview, her in like an interview with somebody, and I was like, oh wow, she seems like a really just cool, vibey person. I love that about her. So my thoughts on Maya Saint-Germain as a character, in my paying homage to her. I think she was a great character. I definitely think Pretty Little Liars did her dirty in terms of Emily in general just didn't get enough screen time, because I don't think they knew what to do with her. But ultimately, because Emily didn't get that much screen time, it meant Maya didn't get that much screen time, and I think they both deserved more, because I think they were a wonderful couple. Their love was really beautiful. I think they're one of the only like kind of pairs that were like 2 POC together that I can think of off the top of my head, which, you know, is a shame. And then she died in the end of season 2. Sorry, spoilers. I think they definitely deserved more screen time, especially because Bianca Lawson is a great actress. They definitely should have utilised her way more. And I think even though they didn't get enough screen time, a lot of people, including myself, really shipped Maya and Emily. And so when Maya died at the end of season 2, it was like, I really, like, every time I watched that scene of like Emily crying as the bodies wheeled away, I just feel goosebumps, and I feel like the sinking feeling in my stomach, because I genuinely, like, that scene is so well performed, even though like, even though Bianca's not actually like acting that scene out, it's just so well performed. And because of that, you've seen the build up between season 1 and 2 of their love growing, and then Emily coming out of the closet and all the things like that. It's a gut wrenching, and it's good TV in a way, because you really feel like the heartbreak, especially considering that death followed the A reveal. But like, it is horrible, but it's very like gut wrenching, because you do actually care about them. And I think we care about Maya, because even though she wasn't on screen a lot, when she was on screen, she fucking worked it. So kudos to her for doing that. I definitely feel like the way they wrote Maya, there was definitely some like backgrounds or like currents of biphobia, in terms of the way they kind of got across the fact that she was more likely bi, or her sexuality was a bit more fluid. I think I don't think the writers liked that about the character, and kind of wrote things in it that alluded to that. I mean, I'm glad in the end that kind of Emily got her shit together and was like, you know, essentially it doesn't really fucking matter, because if you like me, you like me, and that's how all relationships should be. Like, if the person likes you, like you, it doesn't matter. If their sexuality means that they like different genders, doesn't mean that the whole kind of the storyline of it means you're like, I feel like there's more people to compete with, I think was not great, and has aged like rotten milk. Like, aside from that, I just think more screen time for that babe. She's of an elite class of people in terms of acting, looks, just everything. I think she deserved way more. So love to you, Maya. So sad to see you go so early in the show as well. But in a way, she kind of left at a perfect time. Like, that's, I think for me, when it comes to like writing and solid storylines, and like the story felt cohesive and felt like it was going in like an actual direction that was planned, she left at the perfect time. And I think, of course, like, she's a queen in real life, so like I feel like she knew things were gonna go from, did I spit? Sorry. Things were gonna go from there, and so we're just like, let me just cut now in a not I wouldn't say graceful, but let me just cut now in, like, you know, an efficient manner. And she did, and it was all, the story was all the better for it. I'm just sad she ended up with stupid Paige, and I think a lot of people don't like Paige. I'm part of the hate Paige club, absolutely. Yeah. Next, we've got Shauna Fring. It's like a name like this, I would say is Shauna, but they always, because of the American accent or the way they pronounce it in the show, it was Shauna, so I'm going to say Shauna. And she's in seasons 2 to 5, and she is played by, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, sorry if I'm not, Ariel Miranda. So she in Pretty Little Lies is Jenna's like love interest for a bit, and Paige's, I guess, as well. She bumps around. She's a available girl. She was in a costume shop and she antagonizes the girls and ultimately tries to shoot them because of Jenna apparently in season 5. Then Aria guns her, she falls like a meat and dies really tragically. And I was thinking back about the like funeral videos that Aria was watching during like when she was like mourning the person she murdered or whatever, and I was like, damn, this is rough. Like seeing this black family mourn. My thoughts on Shauna. I was just a bit confused, and I think the writers were confused, and I think, to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if the actress I should say, was confused by what purpose Shauna posed. I think she was definitely a scapegoat. They were like, oh, who, you know, when they're trying to be like, oh, this thing happened across town here and this thing happened, who could have done that? And all the characters were plausibly not available, like the main ones like Mona or Melissa Hastings, or like, oh, who, and you know, who else is available that would, I guess, kind of do this because we can work into the story? Shauna. Yes, Shauna was available. She did it because blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. And so that's how they kind of got away with using her. And I think I saw that a lot in the storyline where they're like, oh, who would do this? Who's available? Like, who's not on holiday, basically. Shauna, let's get her into the story, which is a bit of a shame because she seemed like a really good actress. I don't know. She seemed really good at what she did. I don't think they used her character as powerfully as they could. Yeah, I mean, she's a black queen and she's a model. She's been interested in art since she was a young girl, and apparently her surname means she who should be admired, which I think is really, really beautiful. And like, again, this is something that I know about Pretty Little Lies. Like when I was looking into every single one of these black characters, seeing them like outside of Pretty Little Lies, I realised how, one, the makeup department did them dirty, and secondly, just how like beautiful these black women were in, like, and how they just weren't really portrayed as that in the show. Like I can't think, apart from Yvonne, I can't think of a black female character I should say, that was like portrayed in, apart from Maya as well, in this like really nice lovely light, and she was beautiful and she was told this, and you know, and the makeup department spent time on her, the wardrobe department spent time on her. Like there's no black female characters that get that kind of light and shine in the show, which is fucking yucky. So that's a real shame, because like seeing pictures of Ariel in person, not in person, like I haven't met her, but like seeing her pictures outside of Pretty Little Lies, I was like, she's beautiful. And the way she was portrayed in Pretty Little Lies was just not it. And maybe because she was younger or whatever, but the clothes they had her in and the way they styled it, it was just, you can tell, I think, again, looking at these black characters, I can tell where the styling budget went to. It wasn't being spent on the black characters. I don't think it was really being spent on anyone that wasn't the main cast, which is, some would say like, duh, they're the main cast, that's where you spend your costume budget. But I think in terms of world building, it was a bit jarring to see these like characters who had like a fully kitted out, like the bag, the earrings, the hair, the shirt and the skirt matched, and then you'd have their like a supposedly main character because they're the love interest or the enemy antagonist, and they would just, it wasn't matching up in terms of like, you used to look like someone from across the road, whereas these babes look like they've recently been to France to buy clothes or whatever, or they've been to the mall recently. Do you know what I mean? And it was a bit, it messed with the world building, in my opinion. Lyndon James, aka Nate Saint-Germain. So this character was played by someone called Sterling Suleiman, and he was only in season 3. His existence to this day confuses me. But in the story, he was pretending to be Maya's cousin, and it turns out he wasn't, and he's actually the person that murdered Maya. And what else happened with him? Oh yeah, he tried to like kiss Emily and then was annoyed when she didn't actually want to go out with him, considering that she's a lesbian. And again, the way they handled that was a bit, I think that I see what they tried to do with it, but I don't think they handled it very well, because ultimately he was like, oh, what's up with Emily, to Hannah. He said to Hannah, what's up with Emily? Like, I thought we were in a groove. And Hannah was like, she's gay. And then he's like, oh, I thought she was a bit more fluid than that. And then, I don't know, like, the way that it was handled is just like, people that are gay can Emily was in a highly emotional situation. She felt comforted by this person and she kissed them. It might have been a mistake, but it doesn't make her any less gay. And that kiss doesn't negate the fact that she says and presents as a lesbian. And I feel like they wrote him, the way they wrote him was as if it does, like, because they kissed, that means she's a bit more fluid. It's like, it doesn't necessarily mean that at all. I hope that makes sense. So that bit of the storyline, I just remember that, and it really irritated me. But I'm glad, one thing I did like is that how honest Emily was about it with Paige. I think that's really good, and they wrote that really well. So aside from that, about that character, so I feel like he's a very bog standard typecast villain. He's been in other films. He's antagonizing the Pretty Little Lies. He's antagonizing mermaids in other films. So I think they definitely typecast him as an evil guy that jumps in for like a couple episodes and then fucks off, or maybe like a third of the film and then fucks off. So they cast someone that, he did seem and was like genuinely scary, so I'll give him that, I guess. He definitely had that like flair to him. Like when he was in scenes, I did feel uncomfortable and uneasy even before, like when I was first watching, even before I knew he was behind it. It was still a shock, but there's something uneasy about him, and I think they did a good job at like portraying that uneasiness. But again, I don't like the fact that, the very few black male representation characters, of course, they wrote him in to make you like, they kind of wrote his character to make you feel uneasy and a bit suspicious, and then the suspicions were correct. I just wish that they did this to the black male character and many other black male characters in this show, and I think it's just a real shame that they continuously did that, because that is a big stereotype that gets a lot of black men, you know what I'm trying to say, and so I don't think it's great that Marlene decided to kind of keep that up throughout the story and throughout the writing. She didn't do it to every black male character, but she did it to quite a few of them, which is a real shame. When I watch it again, I really did hate him as a character. Like I genuinely were like, kudos Marlene. I hate, like especially when all of it was revealed, like I was like, oh god, I do hate him, and I do feel visceral towards him. So they did that really well. The only thing is that why him being Maya's cousin makes zero sense in terms of, there are so many sections of the story that if Maya was his cousin would make sense, but as soon as he's not, make no sense at all. My biggest plot hole, which I'm sure there's many in Pretty Little Lies, but my biggest plot hole being the shirt that Maya got delivered for Emily. How did he get hold of it to give it to her? Where did he get it from? Did he rob the parents' house? Why would he give it to her then? There's a lot of, and there's another lazy thing that Marlene does, is that she kind of writes off a lot of things of, these people are crazy, parenthesis marks, they're like not well, the things they do are, how could we ever know what they would do? They're not well, they're mentally ill, or they're crazy, or insane, so how are we supposed to know their reasons behind anything? They're just erratic and crazy, they'll just do whatever, like we'll never know. And I feel like she uses that a lot to like fill her plot holes, in terms of like, rather than writing characters that have, but obviously not everyone has a reason for doing every single thing that they do, but rather than writing characters that are three-dimensional, have like reasons or motivations to do things, she just writes this character that do all these different things throughout the story, and then for like, but why would they do this? It's like, who knows? People like that, how are we supposed to know, eh? And it's like, bro, like give us, like do better. We deserve more from the story than just, guess we'll never know, the mind of a killer, eh? And it's like, oh, you could do way more with that, way more with that. But Eddie Lamb, so this character is played by someone called Reggie Austin. He is in seasons 3 to 5, and he has speaking roles, which is why he made it into this section, and what he does affect the liars in some way, so that's why I count him as a main character. But he seems like a nice guy. I think it's a real shame that the lies were like bothering him, because like, again, his story was he was a retired Navy person, and he was willing to work in mental institutions to like pay his bills, have a nice time, and give back to society. And these fucking lies were like badgering him to give up, the jig is up, give us answers to this, that, and the other. Some stuff that he did know, some stuff he had no idea about, and was just trying to protect either the residents, himself, or his motives for doing what he did made sense. But the story and the lies were making it be like, well, why would he do this? Like, why is he hiding? Like, oh my god, he needs to tell us more. Why should he? Why should he? He's just trying to live his life, pay his bills, and help people in a mental institution. Why does he have to do anything that you're asking him? And I understand that, you know, him helping was supposed to be part of a larger mystery that he's helping solve. But ultimately, I just think they could have gone around it in better ways, because like at some points it did feel like they were harassing him, and I was like, oh, it's okay that they're harassing him because it's about solving the mystery and getting to the bottom of this. It's like, no, harassment is never okay. Never okay. Because he ends up leaving town. I believe so. He ends up leaving town. So if that's not harassment, I don't know what it is. As for the actor, it seems that, you know, he seems to appear in lots of different things, maybe only in like 1 or 2 episodes, and he doesn't really have a lot of titled character names, but that's fine. He's paying the bills and he's getting by. I'm glad for him. In real life, that is. Right, a character that as a black woman makes me so mad. And this is the actual title of the character, Big Rhonda. So, alongside the lack of black representation in Pretty Little Liars, big surprise, this is the only, yes, I would say this is the only black plus size female representation that is in the entire show. And also, as well, dark skin black woman, plus size woman in Pretty Little Liars. And then they give her the title of Big Rhonda, and then they give her the character, a diabetic, mentally ill person in the Radley Institution. And they write her and they give her lines to sound aggressive, mean, short, rough, tough, and misunderstood. Even down to what she wore in the episode, the way her hair was styled, everything. Marlene, jail time. They just did that character so wrong. The fact that Aria was in the wrong for the entire interaction she had with Rhonda, and they tried to, and the way she was like, and the fact she was calling her Big Rhonda, and like the way that she was talking and being towards Rhonda, despite her being in the wrong. Aria was going into her personal belongings and trying to get into it, and she was faking and lying to get in and around. And Rhonda was seeing that and saying that, and they writ the story and the lines as if Rhonda was making a big deal out of nothing. When, how would you feel if you're supposed to be in this institution where you're supposed to be safe and cared for, where you recover and get help for your mental health and your mental illnesses or whatever it might be, and some person sneaking around your room and then gaslighting you that they're not, and that they're not trying to steal your stuff and they're not going around your room. So they've got this black woman in this mental institution being gaslit by some white lady that's come in, not out of the interest of helping to teach art to the people that are in there, that are in the institution, but for her own benefit. She's saying, fuck off and do whatever it is she's doing or solve whatever mystery she's solving. I just think it's ridiculous. So I really hate what they did with, I'm not going to keep calling her Big Rhonda because that's really rude. I hate what they did with this Rhonda character. The black woman outside of this seems really lovely. Her hair is gorgeous, everything, but she's a gorgeous woman. And she's really outgoing and has loved acting since she was a young girl. And I'm just so sad that Pretty Little Liars took an actress like Ambrit Milhouse, and I'm just sad that they took a great actress like that and put her in a role like that, and that being the only black plus size representation in the show. I think that's really gross. So that was a big no from me. So obviously go and follow Ambrit in person to support the babe at whatever endeavours that she's doing next, because she deserves it. Also, I may have pronounced her name wrong. It's Ambrit, not Amrit. Excuse me. Shout out, just a mini shout out to, so Spencer could be considered a black character potentially, but I mean, she's very heavily white passing, or just plain up white to be fair. But her mum is half black, so to some, she may be considered black to some extent. It depends. I'm not gonna like identify for her, but I guess, you know, Marlene was trying to pull diversity out of the hat. She could be like, actually Emily and Spencer are people of colour, so about 50% of the main cast are people of colour, and I guess she would be technically right, but you know, it's up for debate. But I mean, Spencer carried that show anyway, and she carried the show, and it would make sense that a black woman carried that show. So it's up to you what you think. Right, now we're on to the peripheral characters that still deserve a shout out. So peripheral characters, this bit will be a bit shorter because I have less thoughts on them, because again, they didn't really impact the show that much, but worth mentioning. Elizabeth Mainway, so she was the lawyer, she was like the legal person at Radley that Toby and and Spencer bullied into kind of writing some letter to say something happened or to acknowledge something. She is actually quite a big actress in terms of she's like quite a decently big character in Star Trek. I think her character is called Captain Raffi. So on to bigger and better things. Maybe Pretty Little Liars episode or 2 was just to pay the bills, or you know, whatever. So good for her. In between this kind of the Star Trek check, she did this, so good for her. Lovely, great Nubian queen. I'm not saying she's Nubian, I don't know where she's from. Oh, a very, very important one, which is ridiculous. Barry Maple, the cop. And what I learned about him through this research is that Barry Maple is the only black character that exists from season 1 all the way to season 7. So he is the longest running black character on Pretty Little Liars, and he is just the like cop that comes in the scene now again to either make arrest, to tell the family something, or to give them a letter or whatever. But he's in it from season 1 to 7, so he got his checks consistently throughout the show, and that seems to be the kind of actor that he is, in that like he's a regular, but he's a regular in like kind of minor roles in shows. So again, as long as he's paying his bills and doing what he loves, good for him. But I just couldn't believe that good old Cop Barry is our longest running black character in the entire show. I would have never guessed that, but hey ho. And Barry Maple is played by Jim Titus. And also, Elizabeth Mainway isn't the actor's real name. The real actor's name is Michelle Hurd. So making sure I can't make sure that information is all there. Officer Lorenzo, who is played by Travis Winfrey, he's in season 6. He's Toby's partner, and then I think he becomes a detective later on. He's okay, he's a decent actor. Him kind of falling for Alison didn't really make sense, especially again, the age gap is a bit whiffy there, but he does, and then he realizes she's a prick, and then he's like, oh, I guess I shouldn't do that anymore then. And he's kind of written out and then written back in because they're like, oh, we need actors, so he's okay. Outside of Pretty Little Liars, I think he's famous for a TV show on VH1. Can't remember the name of the TV show, but he seems like the kind of to give off that player vibe, because a lot of the shirts, a lot of the pictures I found of him was him shirtless, so I don't know what that means, but he seems to give that vibe off. Detective Tanner, I've thrown in here. So in the story, she's written as a Latina character, and in real life, she's partially from the West Indies. So I don't know if she identifies as black, but some West Indian people do identify as black. I'm putting her in there because she was quite a prominent character, and she ate her scenes. She ate like the scene she was in when she was saying the things. I believed her. Yeah, and she was despite the Pretty Little Liars hatred towards her, and they tried to make you hate her throughout the story, like she did her job really well, and she was just doing her job. I definitely think obviously there was elements of like her being especially curious because she felt like there's a lot of webs that she had to untangle, and she felt like there was some level of personal investment in this case, especially because they were really trying to push her out of the case, and there's a lot there, and there's a level probably of bias. But honestly, she was doing her job and she did it well, and when she was on screen, she ate and she looked great every time. But I included her in there. I'm not sure, but I included her in there just in case. Because this list was very short at first. Then we've got Yvonne Phillips, played by Cara Royster. The actress is a model and an actress. She's been in other stuff as well, successfully, and been living her life. She's in season 6 and 7. She unfortunately dies after getting in a car crash with Toby. It's really sad. Her character was very short-lived, and again, her character wasn't treated that well in the story either, which is why. At the end, a beautiful black woman that they've written to the story, and then they wrote her out, and on the way of writing her out, just made her go through so much crap, and I'm like, why would they do that to her? I don't know, probably internalized, and I don't hate unconscious bias and racism, but internalized racism in Marlene or the writing room, where the way they treated black characters was shitty. But yeah, Yvonne is also another black woman that's on that list of Pretty Little Liars characters that were treated like shit. Clark Wilkins, so he is played by someone called Titus Mackin Jr. He's more famous for being in Glee than he is for being in Pretty Little Liars, but we still make it onto his wiki. And he was the person that was in the photography, pretending to be a photographer in the studio with Aria once they came out of the dollhouse, but ended up being I think it was an FBI agent trying to investigate, and the liars like got in the way as usual. They're like, oh, we need help, like, oh my god, we're stuck in a situation, things are going so bad, everyone's gonna be hurt, and then someone tries to help them and then they assume they're the enemy instantly, even though most of the time the people that are trying to help them are very rarely the enemy. People that are hurting them, actively harming them, or people that they've done harm in the past are usually the enemy, as pattern shows. But it can go either way, because, you know, in some cases that, you know, it is the case, people helping them are also against them, but I don't know. They just calm down. And I know they've been, I mean, to be honest, they can't calm down. The amount of trauma that Marlene puts these characters through from season 1 to 7 is ridiculous. Absolutely. And apparently only one of them breaks and goes to Radley. No, bruv. They all need intensive help going through all of those things. And so, of course they can't calm down. But I mean, calm down in the sense of like, if they can, think more logically. But again, it's impossible, so yeah, I don't know if my advice is even good, but basically they suspected Clark of doing wrongdoings when he didn't. He was just investigating it and then ruined his investigation, and then he went off screen. But he played the photographer quite well. He was nice, he was charming. It was nice to have another black guy on screen for a bit. So yeah, that's him. Right. My favourite list. So these are the honourable mentions. So these are people that had maybe one line, and if they didn't have a line, the camera focused on them for long enough that I count them as a character. But also, their existence made me laugh or got a reaction out of me, so they're worth mentioning. And again, because I can't find the name of some of the actors, because I don't think the Pretty Little Liars doesn't like show all of their extras in the credits, which is a real shame. But this, some of the people, because I couldn't find their name or the actresses or actor's name, I will just put a picture of them on the screen. So, season 1, this character, which I found out after some deep searching, is called Chewy. So he's in the dental office of Hannah's boyfriend, Sean, in season 1. And she's like, oh, what are you doing here? He's like, baking a cake. 10 out of 10 line. The delivery, everything. And they're like, are you almost done? He's like, no. Oh, it's beautiful. He's a great character. I wish he did more with Chewy. I can't believe he's called Chewy as well. Like, ooh. In terms of like, why is he called Chewy? But anyway, he's in here. Great guy. Love that scene every time I see it. And I hope he's doing well. Next. Oh, and he was played by Robert Keith Wyatt. I couldn't find anything about this actor online, which is a shame. So, the diner lady, also known as Waitress Marlene, but in real life known as Louisa Abernathy. So she's the one that's like, seat yourself, pretty eyes. So, yeah, great actress. She plays her role well. I think that all of Pretty Little Lies, they have a real issue with like writing black characters in these like very, very, very like old-fashioned stereotypical roles. Like, I don't know what's wrong with their writing team and Marlene, just everyone involved in that process. I don't know how they again and again did that, but they did. But she ate her lines. She did what she had to do. She had to pay her bills and to have a nice time on set. I hope she had a nice time on set anyway. But yeah, Waitress Marlene was great. These last two ladies, I'll put on screen as I'm talking. One of them was a lady. She was reading in season 4, episode 16. Spencer is shouting or arguing with Alison's mum, Jessica De Laurentiis, and saying to leave her father alone, you slut, or whatever. And at the end of the altercation, the camera pans to this black lady who's like reading this book and is like, you know, given the, I feel like the universally black look of, wow, these people are crazy. Let me just ignore this child. I'm just trying to, you know, continue with my day. But the look is just so perfect, and I count her as a character because I remember that scene and it made me laugh. But that look, that glance was really, really funny because it was just ridiculous. The whole thing was just ridiculous, and I'm glad they put the camera on her for a second. She ate her eye exchange look. Very relatable, and she did a very, very good job displaying that. And last but not least, in season 2, episode 3, when the girls are supposed to be having separate time because of recommendations from Dr. Sullivan, there is a black lady. It's what assumed to be, again, these are all people, I've only included people on this list where, based on research, it either says it online or I can visibly see and, you know, make a good educated guess that they are black. So the people that I've missed out on, it might be because I couldn't find anything online about them. But anyway, last but not least, this lady, she is walking out of the bathroom like speedily and has this weird look on her face like, what is going on in here, as the girls were hiding in the toilet stall ready to come out so they could interact with each other secretly. But I thought I'd include her because, again, a queen, she was on screen, the camera panned with her, so she had to make it onto the list, or else again this list would be very short. So basically there were two babes from season 7 that I forgot to mention Jillian Howe from season 7, and also the babe that was behind the till when Alison went to that baby shop. Their names and pictures are on screen to make sure no one is left out, but I don't rewatch season 7 that often, so I forgot about them, but I remembered in time for the video, so I'm very, very pleased. And that's it. Those are all the characters, not all the characters, can you imagine? That is all the black characters of Pretty Little Liars. This is my video paying homage to you because you all, every single one of you, deserved more. And so this is my little contribution towards these characters and towards the wider fandom, because I haven't really seen the video that collates that's done like a coalition or a complete view of the black representation within Pretty Little Liars, because I know they have lots of different problems with representation. There's been videos about it, but I wanted to focus on the black folk within Pretty Little Liars because they're obviously, as you can see, there wasn't a lot. But yeah, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you guys so much for watching my beautiful Maggie Cubes. I really appreciate all your support and love. Don't remember to like, subscribe, comment down below and share with a friend. That's it for now, but I hope to see you very, very soon. And if you want to talk about Pretty Little Liars in the comments, please do. I will happily join you. See you later. Bye.